Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. My name is Constance. So we have been enjoying the changing of the seasons around here. Every time I drive past the nursery, I can't help but stop and grab a few plants to bring cheerful color to the homestead here. And we have all of the spring visitors like the hummingbird moths and things like that. And I've been busy working on some projects around here, like finally getting around to refinishing the countertop over on the stove side of the kitchen. I had installed these acacia wood countertops a while back and I just put a clear coat on them, but I went and I sanded all that off and I've begun the process of oiling the wood with the tung oil to deepen the color. I've also been working on building windowsills and installing trim, which is ongoing. Now these canning jars, I've been asked about, both the large jars and the little jelly jars. These are anchor hocking jars. They're kind of squarish in shape, not quite perfectly round. And I've had these things for years, and I especially love the jelly jars. But I looked at their website because I had some people asking me about them. And you know, I think they may have discontinued making canning jars because I don't see them on their website. I haven't seen these in stores in ages. And even in their retail catalog for businesses to carry their products, they don't list the canning jars anymore. But thankfully there are lots of options out there for canning jars. So it seems like every spring I find myself canning potatoes. And you know, I have people ask me from time to time, why do you can potatoes? Well, I will tell you, I have a hard time keeping potatoes fresh in my pantry. I'll buy potatoes and it seems like in just a few days they'll be sprouting eyes and getting mushy. And maybe it's because we live in the South and we don't have beautiful root cellars down here. At least I've never had one. And so I can potatoes. And I love having canned potatoes on the pantry shelves because they make for super quick mashed potatoes to go as a side for any meal. And then I also, of course, love to add them to soups and stews. And I don't have to worry about them not keeping fresh in the pantry. I don't have to peel and dice up the potatoes. They're just ready to go whenever I want them. Now I will say that when it comes to canning potatoes, I don't quite follow the rules. You know, you're supposed to parboil them, but I have found that whenever I parboil them, they end up getting just way too mushy. And so I've only ever done that one time. And ever since, I started cold packing them. I pack in the cold potatoes as tightly as I can get them. I add in the salt. I add in cold water. They go into a cold canner, and I just do it that way. And then, of course, bring them up to pressure and process them for the normal time, which is 40 minutes for quarts and 35 minutes for pints. And I have found that by doing it this way, yes, you do end up with some extra starch in the liquid, but that doesn't really bother me. Like I said, the canned potatoes are great for quick mashed potatoes. They're great for soups and stews. The only thing that I don't find they're great for is potato salad. And I know some people do use canned potatoes for potato salad, but I have tried doing it, and I've tried a couple different times. And it seems to me that potatoes, once they've been pressure canned, they just don't accept the flavor from the sauce that you would make for your potato salad. And I've tried letting it sit for even 2 days, and the potatoes just do not absorb the flavor when it comes to potato salad. So I don't use those for that. But again, the mashed potatoes, the soups and stews, I'll use that any day. Now you're going to begin noticing some changes here in the kitchen because, as I've shared in a recent video, we are preparing to move back to Alabama. And so since we know we're going to be moving, I'm beginning to pack things up. And one of the changes that's going to be happening is this beautiful French shelf coming down from above the stove. I'm going to be taking this down and replacing it with a traditional bridge cabinet as well as a range hood. Because while I love the shelf over there and I don't really need a vent, most people want them and need them. I have begun planting out in the garden because, again, we don't know how long this process is going to take. And even if I'm not the one to harvest the things in the garden, a beautiful, flourishing garden is always a selling point for somebody who wants a homestead. And I loved being able to gift a garden ready to pick for the last people, the ones who bought our Alabama home, and I'm doing the same for this house. But all of my perennial flowers are starting to come back and getting ready to bloom. I've started planting a few flowers here and there that I've picked up at the nursery. You always need some marigolds in the garden. Some zinnias. And then all of my garden starts are getting ready to start getting planted out here as well. And interestingly, I had some volunteers come back over along the fence line. I don't remember planting dianthus, but I do know a couple years ago I spread some wildflower seeds. And maybe that's where these came from, because I know I've never had this many dianthus or these types in my garden before. There's a couple volunteers popping up all over the place, like this one right here. Not sure if that was cabbage or Brussels sprouts. And then of course, I've got a couple sunflowers popping up here and there. Although, there are a couple volunteers I'm seeing that I am not quite appreciating so much, and they are going to have to go, like this baby persimmon tree right here, which I ended up with several growing in the same spot for some reason. I'm kind of thinking it might have been some squirrels planting the seeds. I don't know how else so many would have ended up in the exact same spot. But around here on the homestead, we're continuing to work on all of the spring projects around here, enjoying the beautiful weather, temperature-wise. Although we could use a little bit more rain. It seems like there's been lots of rain around, but none of it has made its way to us. And so I'm hand watering the garden until I can get my drip line reinstalled. But I'll do that when I get everything planted out here in the garden beds. But as I said, we have been enjoying the spring weather and getting to go outside and just enjoy nature, enjoying the beauty of the homestead. And I have made a point to make it up to my favorite spot with the view that you just can't beat. God bless, and I'll talk to y'all next time.